We are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. I'm RT Bear, and I am your host. I'm coming live from Hack Shack Studios, where I do all my comic book work, my creating, my writing, my penciling, my inking. So I have a ton of stuff to share with you. It's going to be like show and tell. I have some cool stuff I got back from the printer. I'm going to let you know, Pamela just got back from the post office. She mailed off a bunch of black and white books, so check your mailbox. And we have a commission from the other day, and I have the cover, one of the variants, and it's finished finally. The penciler is Carlo Barbieri. And I finally finished up the inks last night. So I have some finished stuff to share with you that I've been working on for the last week or so. And I have a new page too, a new Chrono Mechanics page that I want to share with you. I think it came out really cool. So we have Arch Geek. Hey, Art, what's up? We have King Crow. What's up, man? Hey, guys. Taking a drink of my tea. Sheldon. He was the savior yesterday in the drawing stream. He he pointed out that Red Sonja needed a strap to hold her chest plate in place. Otherwise, it would just kind of be floating there. So I think that was a good call, Sheldon. Thank you very much. I had to check something real quick. Oh no, that's not what I want. All right, I'm back. So let me share with you, start camera. So once again, I've been playing with the camera. I don't know if it's better or worse. These are blue lines, so they're going to be hard to see. So this is another commission I'm going to be working on. I was going to go right to inks, but there's some really loose parts that I'm not real sure about. So I'll probably pencil this up, and by penciling it, you'll be able to see it better when I go to ink it. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the pencils, just enough to kind of structurally see where I'm going. And like I said, it should help you guys to see it as well. And then, oh, cool. I got these. Look at these, you guys. We just got these back from the printer. So we have boxes of these. So what is that? Pick a card, any card, pick a card. They're all the same. So, these are going to go in the black and white boxes. So when you get your black and white orders, you're going to get a Chrono Mechanics postcard. So it's mainly just an advertisement and a reminder that there is an Indiegogo campaign going on right now for Chrono Mechanics. It is near and dear to my heart. So yeah, I thought these came out really, really cool. So yeah, so it's also a thank you if you can read that. Thanks for the black and white support. Yeah, so it's a fun little thing, giving back. You guys got a cool little collectible with the postcard, and then a little thank you and a reminder of the new campaign. So yeah, these are going to go out in all the boxes as well. And before I start up, I want to show you this bad boy. Look at this. I should actually find the scan, because the scan doesn't have the blue lines on there, and it's a lot cleaner. Maybe I'll show you the scan too. And I changed the composition a little bit to fit the template. It was a little bit small on the sides, I think, if I remember right. So this is Carlo. You can see his signature there. It's on his paper. He's got this little bee with a word balloon around it. So thank you so much, Carlo. Sometimes he hangs out in the chat. So if he's here, thank you so much, man. I appreciate this. And this came out amazing. It looks so darn cool. Look at those cogs. Look at the movement. And he's a little vain, so he's got his mirror there in his hand. and his big plume. He's a little bit of a fancy boy. He's fancy. Yeah, so this came out really, really cool. So thanks again, Carlos or Carlo, and thank you for giving me that wonderful cover. So this is one of the chrono pages. So I thought I'd show this off to you. You know what? I'm going to find that page because digital, it looks better. And also digitally, I can, if it's digital, I can blow it up and you guys can see it better. So let me find the page. That was page 31. So while you guys are talking in the chat, I will go find it. And it was in the chrono file. So there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it looks so cool. And what else was I going to do? I was going to find page 31. Page 31 digitally. Yeah, there it is. All right. Sweet Mama Jamma. So I'm coming back here and hey, we have Victor. Hey, Victor Thomas. Hey, Art. I got my book yesterday. Nothing was damaged, but the box was open. Wow. I wonder if the post office opened the box. Well, I'm glad, Victor, and thank you so much for backing Black and White. I appreciate it, and I'm glad it got there undamaged. I wonder why they opened it, though. Do you live here in the States? Because sometimes they'll open it if it goes to another country. I'll forever be known as the chest plate guy, LOL. No. I really appreciate it because I would not have seen it and it would have went up that way. And I would have been bummed because eventually I would have saw it and then it would have been too late to fix it. Yeah, those gears came out really good. All right. Well, on that note, I am going to show you the gears. Oh, I have the window open here, you guys. Oh my gosh, blowing stuff all over the place. Yeah, we're getting a storm in. Wow. That was pretty weird. Yeah, it's a nice day, so I have the window open. Did you hear that gust? It blew all my artwork everywhere. So very cool. I got a little sidetrack there. So screen share. And then we'll go here. So this is the page 31. So I can do this. Yes. And so this is all cleaned up. And I sent this off to Narwhal the other day. So they're stopping real quick in the time truck, trying to get to the work site. A giant kneecap and a little bit of a foot there. And you're like, what is that? And then you turn to the next panel and you realize it's a Bitchosaurus. It's a Bitchosaurus Rex. And this T-Rex is an experiment from the future. So it's kind of Jurassic Park-ish. So it doesn't have mind control, but it has like implants that allow it to have like speech. And it's a little bit more self-aware and can communicate. So it's an experiment gone wrong. So the chrono mechanics refer to her as a Bitchosaurus because all she does is complain and bitch and moan. So look for the T-Rex in the story because it becomes a big part of the story later on. So one of the things about the chrono mechanics is just getting to the work site can be an adventure. So up to page 31, it's pretty much just them trying to get to the work site with a crash, a chronomite invasion, the loss of a member, and now the Bitchosaurus. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens. And time is merging. So there's a lot of obstacles to get over just to get to the work site. So it's a fun action adventure sci-fi. And the best part is it's a one and done. So you won't have to wait for a follow-up or anything like that. Although I do want to, do more Chrono stories, and I will in the future. But this is a one and done, so you don't have to worry about any other books. So they're all going to be one and dones, all the Chrono Adventures. And so this is the scan. You can see it's a little bit, compositionally, it's a little different than the one I showed you earlier. And we can blow it up. Look at that. So this is me inking Carlo, not in Carlo style, but it's a little bit of a hybrid. It's his style, but with a Chrono Mechanics style as well. So the style's a little bit of the French guys like Mobius. So this is a little bit of a hybrid. So there's it's a little less rendery and a little bit more like fun with the bloops and the thicker outlines, like a cartoon. So it's got thicker outlines and it kind of has a pseudo Mobius style rendering over it. So I thought it was a good experiment. I thought it came out really cool. So I like it a lot. And so I did a little bit of finish work on the cogs. So, and then the Team Supreme. The Team Supreme. Yeah, if you guys don't know, Carlo and I worked together on Super Sons for DC Comics. And I feel bad that I kind of left that book in the middle of the run, but I was really getting overwhelmed on Black and White, so I couldn't keep the schedule on both. So something had to give, and my heart's more in the independents right now. So I walked away from DC Comics, and the worst part is I walked away from inking this genius that is Carlo. So thank you so much, Carlo. If you're listening and you're in the chat, this is how it came out. So, and if you want, go back in my YouTube history, and there's some videos of me inking this. And so there's this as well that I've been inking for the last day or so. Yeah, I've been working on it while working on other things as well. So this is the Red Sonja commission, finally done, scanned, and ready to ship. So this will go in the Oodles book, the Oodles of Doodles and Other Stuff 2, Volume 2. So yeah, it's got a little bit of gray tone you can see in it. Let me blow up on some of it so you can see the ink wash. So I didn't go overboard with the ink wash. I wanted to let the actual black line speak for itself, but just give a little bit of an enhancement just to add a little bit of dimension to it. Like I said, these commissions, I always like to do something a little bit different than I do for my mainstream work. And so then this is what I'm going to be working on. So this is what I drew up. And so this is what I printed up in Blue Line, and then I'll be working on in this stream. So there we go. I believe we're all cut up here. So let's go to chat real quick. Michigan, the tape wasn't sticking to the box. Oh, that is really weird. So is it raining there? I'm sure it's cold, but I don't know if it's raining or if it's snowing there in Michigan. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And this is not the pencil I want. I want a softer lead. And I need a point. I need a point on my pencil. So I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to tighten up, because I really want to just get into the ink aspects. And also that translates the best for these videos. So okay, here's her jawline. Yeah, I noticed that the key to making cute girls is diminish the chin. I used to make this part right here very long, so it makes them look tougher, but not cute or sexy. And one of the key measurements is from nose to lip. So like from here to here. Okay. There's one thing that I'm still always fighting with, and that's spacing the, if this was the front view, the two eyes. Because a lot of people, they make the women's eyes a little further apart, and than they are in real life or in nature. And I think the reason they do that is because it makes them cute. And also, if you move them further apart, you can make the eyes bigger, so you can exaggerate the eyes. The size of the eyes, I should say. So, like I said, I'm kind of this arm specifically. I had a hard time with. There's not a lot to work with women, so you have to be pretty exact with your shapes. Like I said yesterday, you don't want to busy them up too much. You want to keep things simple. By keeping it simple, it just always works out better. Everybody says I pencil like an inker. They're probably right. Because I turn the board, and when I'm inking, I turn the board a lot, especially when I'm inking fast. Okay, so those were some of the danger zones. I think I'm going to overlap this here. That wind again. I may have to close that window. Okay. I don't know, her gloves are pretty baggy. They look a little too tight. Hmm. Okay. And I think some of these rips are a little too busy. Okay. Little hip. Little overlap. Ribs and stomach. It's a little too round. Square it off a little bit. Get this leg in better. Almost ready for inks. These are rocks. I have some limited background in this piece. It's actually a lot more than I usually do, because this was actually a bust as well, bust commission, and it turned into a lot more than that, which seems to happen with me. There's something here bugging me. Yeah, I think I like that better. Okay, so here we have little tattered glove. Goes in here, overlaps, folds. You know where I learned, other than just life, a lot of my folds from is Jerry Ordway. When I was working on the Superman books, man, that guy, like suits and clothing, he is so good at it. And the other one was Howard Chaykin. But I think Jerry's was way more detailed. Howard stuff is pretty. It's kind of abbreviated. The folds and everything are all in the right places, but it's not quite as structured as Jerry. And then actually, I kind of give Hogarth a little bit of crap sometimes as far as his drawing book, his anatomy book, which is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not one of my favorites. But his book on folds is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I look at that thing all the time. Yeah, his book on folds is really good. It's actually one of the better ones I've ever seen. I like the Jack Ham book, which I've mentioned before too, which when I was talking to Larry Stroman at the Long Island Comic-Con, he said that one of his favorites was Jack Ham as well. And I thought that was very cool because I inherited that book from my dad. My dad, he drew like as a hobby. He was never professional or anything, and I don't think he ever really pursued it. But he did have the Jack Ham book, which was pretty cool. And then looking back at it, all these years later, realizing that it is really a great book. Like, it was really fortuitous that he had it and that I inherited it. So that was very cool. So thank you, Dad. I think I have these folds wrong. Okay. So then we have this. I think I can see everything else. Yeah. Let me get this in here. All right. Let's do this. I'm going to go to the chat, throw some fresh ink into my inkwell, and then start powering through Rogue of the Savage Land. Hey, Kyung Lee's here. I see his big cool icon. Victor Thomas, Michigan. I think that's where we left. Hey, we have Ed in the chat. How are you, Ed? And my good buddy, Sonic Goon. Will you allow the campaign to go in demand once it's finished? I think you're talking about Chrono Mechanics. I'm really not sure. And if it does, at this point, my wife and I were talking about making the live campaign different from the in-demand store campaign or, in-store experience. So we were playing with maybe you won't get the stretch goal items if you buy the book in demand. So we might close them, the stretch goals, when we go in demand, if we do. So yeah, we're still kind of playing with some of those ideas at this point. So Savage, yes, and have my back, Sheldon, if I miss something. All right, here we caught up to Kyung Lee. How are you, brother? I got to teach you my patented taping technique for sealing Gemini mailers. Oh, okay. So I guess there's an art to it. So I don't know why. I mean, we use the normal packing tape that we use on everything. So I don't know why it didn't stick. So if anybody else has that problem, let us know. So we know that it's more than just that one. This is Savage Land Rogue. I spell rogue the same way you do. Yeah, it seems counterintuitive that the G goes before the U. Somebody was messing with my head when they came up with that. I love it already. Cool. Whoa, sounds. Yeah, the wind is kind of picking up. We're supposed to get a storm tonight. Oh, King Crow got Kyung Lee's book, and he says, excellent. Yeah, I read that book, Kyung Lee. Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb is nothing short of amazing. And for your first venture, I hate you. I hate you because it's so darn good. Oh, he's leading you right into a question. And ooh, pre-launch. Are you a mod? I can't make you a mod through StreamYard, but if you yeah, I would put your link here. But yeah, once we're done here, go check out Indiegogo. I imagine it's on Indiegogo. And Kyung Lee has a pre-launch page for the standard edition of Battle Maiden. I believe it's going to be on newsprint. So it's an experiment that I am looking into as well. And so the campaign is going live next month. So December. All right. Look at this. We got some fans in the house. Don't miss out. Battle Maiden Knuckle Boom. It's ace. It's an ace in the hand. Oh, wait. Oh, Sheldon must be an artist. The handbook helped me out to understand the contrapose. Always interpret the look. Yeah, it's good stuff. I want to get the book and show it to you guys, but I want to stay focused. What is this? For real, guys, if you don't have it, don't miss that Battle Maiden. Yeah. Because she's sexy. Oh, she's sexy. That's my fat bastard. It's pretty bad, right? He's so sexy. All right. I hope this is the right pin. Okay. It will do in a pinch. Okay, so she's kind of tattered here a little bit. The key to tatters is fun movements with the pin. So slow and methodical with the structure. So yeah, I think just like I always say, ink it, be conservative, and then you can always come back in and build the line a little bit. So that's what I did. So this is the outside of this is a little structure and a little tattered. So it's a little more structured than the rip stuff I was showing you, the interior stuff. So this is a Rolk. Okay, I threw a lot of wet ink down there, so I gotta move to another place. Because actually these outlines are pretty thick, so they take longer to dry. So I'm going to try to structure everything up as quickly as I can. I could go a lot faster if I didn't have to wait for the ink to dry. I used to think like, oh, if I work digitally or ink digitally, then I won't have the waiting problem. The thing with computers is you always have to go in for oh, I need this tool, I need that tool, and constantly searching for stuff, and frustrates the hell out of me. I just like to have the one tool that kind of does everything. Because when I really get moving with the inks, I can go pretty darn fast. I'm usually relatively slow on these streams just because I'm kind of not 100% focused on what I'm doing. So it tends to slow me down a little bit. And also I'm more just trying to entertain than get work done. So here's what I was telling you about going. Never be afraid to go back and thicken up some areas, because you'll find that, excuse me, some of the balance isn't there. So what I mean by balance is that all these line weights all the way around, they all have to look like they're from the same, like they exist in the same world. So they have to be somewhat compatible, because if you have like a really thin structure over here and a really thick one over here, it's just not going to look complete. It's not going to look like it's one piece of structure. So it's a constant back and forth. So my eye is always moving around the piece, because like here's kind of an example. See, there's this thick and then there's this thinner here. And so to make it more compatible, thicken it up so it looks more like it's continual structure throughout. Some guys don't get that crazy about that. I do. I never really thought about like that structure really matters, but I think just my nature, structure is like a pretty big deal for me. Because you can structure things up pretty tight in the inks. You can also make them incredibly loose and messy as well. I need to get a towel. If you guys haven't heard, always have a rag where you can wipe the excess ink off, because it will dry and it will not flow as well. So you always want to keep your nib in good shape. So periodically clean it off, because it collects kind of whatever's in the air, like dust and stuff, but it also collects fibers from the paper, and then also the ink kind of dries on it. So I'm trying to make the staff, the spear, a little organic, but at the same time very structured. So if you can see it, it kind of bounces around. The key to this, man, I've run this studio, an ink studio, for a while, and whenever I teach people this, I say, bounce the line around, do that. They always go crazy, man. They go way too overboard, and there's busyness that you can get on a scale like this, and then there's busyness that you cannot get away with on something smaller. So also when you move the line around and you bring that kind of texture, I call it like bouncing the line around. Also be aware of the scale, because if you do too much movement on a smaller image, oh my gosh, it looks so bad. You just lose the structure of it. I remember I was working with this one guy, and I just had showed him. It's kind of like, when you're young and you're eager and you're like, oh, I got this new idea, and so then you just go crazy with the idea, like crazy overboard. And man, it was the busiest rooftop scene I've ever seen as far as inking was concerned. Man, it was kind of bouncing all over the place. It was way overdone. Yeah, I wish then we had digital technology, because I had to go in by hand and kind of simplify everything. At the same time, teaching the guy, like, time and place, man. Certain scale stuff you can get away with a lot more detail. Smaller stuff, not so much. Keep it simple when you're dealing with smaller things. Always try to keep it simple. There's one problem I've noticed with digital, with scale, with inking, is pencilers can now, if they're working digitally, they can blow their artwork up to crazy levels. Meaning, like, a minute detail, they can blow it. Like, if it's this big, like, I don't know, like the size of this, in the drawing, they can blow it up digitally this big, or I mean any size they want, really. And so then they do like this incredible detail, and then they shoot it back down. And I have this tool to ink it with, so it becomes very hard to do that detail. And also, the main problem is it doesn't really look that good. It ends up looking really muddy. It's just way too much detail. So I think, as a tip for anybody that's drawing digitally, be careful, because these were also professionals that I was working with. Like, these weren't, amateurs, and even they were making these mistakes. So I always felt bad that I would simplify them, and because they did all the work, but at the same time, I think in the long run it looks better, especially once you add color to it, and the printing process. It tends to kind of diminish the clarity of the piece. And really small figure work is, you only have a small amount of space to convey the message. So the simpler and more direct you can get with your really small figures, the better. Save the detail for the bigger stuff, the stuff that's going to matter. And also, in the long run, just to get through a deadline, it'll help you to not fall victim of that. We tend to want to make everything all it can be. You know what I mean? Like, I want everything to look amazing, and so you put a crazy amount of focus on every little aspect of the drawing. And sometimes it's not good. It's not good for the drawing. It actually works the opposite of the way you think it will. So try to figure out what is important to put the emphasis on and what isn't. You know, I think she has a belt. Isn't there like an X belt or something that she wears on her hip? I might have to stay away from that area. In the chat, let me know if, please, if Rogue wears, because she's got that belt with the X on it. I hope this looks good. It's kind of grainy. I don't know what happens with the camera. I don't know. Handbook helped. Battle Maiden. Yes, thank you. What's up, King Crow? I have to go to work. I'll have to watch the rest of this later when I do my nightly sketching. Be well, everyone. Yeah, King Crow, don't work too hard, man. Thank you for hanging out for the time you could. Oh, yes, and thank you, man. Yes, smash the like. It does help. I've heard from other YouTubers that there is a purge and that YouTube is up to some shenanigans. And if your algorithms aren't that well, then you can get kind of glossed over and in favor of, I guess, the bigger, more corporate YouTube channels. So the smaller channels suffer. So yeah, all the support that you guys can give, I really do appreciate it. And if there's anyone out there that has a friend that likes comic book content and drawing and things like that, please turn them onto the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Have them come by and sub. My subs have been going up like crazy, you guys. So thank you so much, man. For a while, it felt like it was stagnating, but it goes up every day. And even if it goes up one or two, it's been going up a lot more than that lately, but one or two a day, it renews your faith that you're actually connecting with people and that you're building something that is becoming successful. And it really does make a difference. Awful redneck gaming. Art is class, and he's 9 feet tall. I heard you in the chat the other day bringing that up. I'm 9 feet tall, and it's all in my head. Oh, Pixel is talking up Battle Maiden. So get the standard edition Battle Maiden if you missed it the first time around. Oh, cool. There's the link, you guys, to the Battle Maiden, what do they call it? Sign up page. Yeah, Indiegogo sign up page. So let's see what else Pixel has to say. It's hard to fight the urge to zoom in digitally. Once you spend enough time with it, you learn to recognize what will reproduce. Yeah, but like I said, man, there's some professionals that are still doing it, man. And I do feel bad that I have to simplify, but I think in the long run, it looks better. Could see that for sure. Shenanigans. They're trying to turn YouTube. Oh, yeah. Trying to turn YouTube into legacy television. So Fox, MSNBC, and CNN will have a new home. Yeah, they're trying to basically purge the riffraff that they cannot control. Because they want sponsors. They want to clean up YouTube so that they can get sponsors in and make some money. So, you know, commerce is good. Capitalism is good. But this kind of stuff is not good. So I believe that there are a couple lawsuits. I believe Dennis Prager and some others are bringing YouTube to court to try to because they say it's their platform and then they can regulate it however they want, and it's not a violation of freedom of speech. But if it's the people's airwaves, then is it really your channel? So you don't hear much about these things. And it's weird that you don't, because there is an epic battle that's going on right now. And I think it's a worthy battle to fight. And I'm glad that there are people that are fighting it, because if we don't do it now, the status quo will be set in place, and it's going to be harder and harder for generations to come to fight it. So I think it is a battle that needs to be fought right now, and I'm hoping good things for PragerU, because I don't always agree with everything that they say and do, but I think they have a lot of integrity. And in this case, I believe that somebody of power needs to push back YouTube and some of these other like Facebook and these companies, because I don't think it is just like they control, like it's their platform, so they can do whatever they want. I do think it involves a lot more than that. I don't think it's that simple. So there's my little soapbox tangent. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but like I say, you don't hear much about all this stuff. You hear like, gender equality and all this other stuff that I'm not saying it may not be a worthy fight, but it shouldn't. It just seems like it dominates everything, and there are rights that are being debated and being stolen from us on a daily basis. And while we're busy fighting about gender equality or whatever, the government's getting away with murder. And I'm not talking about just a Republican or a Democrat. I'm talking about the government as a whole. Yeah, our rights are being stripped away at a pretty accelerated rate these days. And there's a lot of generations that fought pretty hard to make sure we had these rights. And there's a whole generation that's just seemingly giving them away. When you have people saying to the government, oh God, I'm going off on a tangent here. When you have people going up to the government and saying, could you regulate speech? We don't like these words. They trigger us, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you actually think the government's not going to go, oh, you want us to regulate speech? Hell yeah. Like, you're playing right into the government's hands. Like, why would they not? Like, if you can control speech, you can control thought, you can tell people what to say, what not to say. Like, these are dangerous ideas, and they just throw them out like in this weird innocence. Like, yeah, it'll make things better because this word hurts my feelings. Okay, but what are you giving up so your feelings don't get hurt? Like, you're giving up everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. It's pretty nutty. Yeah, my daughter Amanda went to a liberal arts college in Laguna Beach, and the students didn't seem to have a lot of problems with these ideas. And she would try to tell them, even the professors and the teachers, Like, this is dangerous talk. And they're like, yeah, but this offends me. This is offensive. Well, go climb back into your safe space and pet your stress puppies. I'm not kidding. Those things actually exist. They would have, before finals, they would bring in stress puppies for the students so they could cope with their finals. That's insane. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but that is really insane. You know why there's a lot of stress with the finals is because they're very, very important. And stress helps you, I guess, take it seriously. It helps you focus your thoughts. Stress means that it's important to you. If you didn't stress out, then you wouldn't care about what it is that you're doing. So stress isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you're not studying and you're just goofing off and you're stressing out over nothing, then that's different. Or you just kind of make up stress every day in your life. And, there's made up stress, and then there's the reality of stress. And a lot of that is perceived stress. And I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not necessarily bad to be stressed out. I'm stressed out right now. Bah! I'm going to blow up and just have a hissy fit, and then I'm going to have to go take a break and pet my stress puppy. Man, life isn't always easy, Sometimes it's pretty challenging. And I also thought like school was one of the places where you kind of get kids ready for the outside world. So let me see if her chin is dry. It is not. I'm going to give you a little zoom up and take a break while I let some of this ink dry. It always looks so basic, like, oh man, that's really basic, until you start getting the details in, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's shaping up. All right, let me go to the chat so I can come back and not worry about ink. All right, I turned all you guys off on my political rants. You guys all left. I always had, here we go. Always had trouble with my sketches. I draw too hard, so it kind of shows when I erase. I'll tell you, it's not always that you're pushing too hard. Sometimes it's the lead. So if you're having a problem with indenting into the paper with your pencil, try a softer lead. Because even when I draw with a harder lead, it'll leave a little bit of an indent. So I don't really like penciling with a hard lead, although I do from time to time, and I think I just like the variety of it. But the softer lead's always better, and the harder lead is always harder to the harder lead is more difficult to erase. So there's B's, HB's, and this is a 4H, but that's really hard. So I don't use that much. And then here's an H. So an H, an HB, a B. Usually an HB is a good all around kind of lead to use. It's the same that are in those number 2 pencils, and it's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good like hardness and softness. So the H and the B together are like the hard and soft. So it's a good versatile. But yeah, if you're going to pencil with the harder lead, I would say just kind of, I don't know, gesture in the stuff with the harder and then go over with the softer. But I don't even know about that, because if you go with the hard lead and you're just kind of ghosting it in, then you're not really pushing down on the board. So just kind of move along kind of quickly. I pencil with 2 pencil leads sometimes. So this is a harder lead. You can even hear it. And then this is softer. So you can see the difference, and it moves differently. So I believe this is an H. So, just kind of move the pencil, sketch out real quickly, with whatever you're going to do, and move it and try to find your stuff. And then you can go in and leave that, and then you can kind of come in and, structure, whatever, whatever it is you want. So what did I just throw? Oh, so that's probably how I would deal with the problem between, like digging into the board, because it's usually a pencil lead problem, because that softer lead that I was showing you, like the B, it's if you bear down on that thing, it'll break. The lead's soft, and it will just break. So it won't even really let you bear down on it too much. So it might be good for you to try that and see how it goes. Yeah, a lot of inking is movement. So you want to get movement. And if you notice, like the more organic stuff that I'm doing, I'm kind of moving the nib in more of an organic kind of way, less rigid, I guess. And then when I'm structuring things up, I get more controlled. She's got her headband. So yeah, I'm putting little rips and little tatters into the material. So it looks ripped up. And one of the things I do, hold on. When I'm inking really controlled stuff like this, is I'll go really, really conservative with the lines, and then I'll build them up. But I really want to get that accuracy in there and then build the line weights up. So you can see how the line weights work, the thicks and thins on the face. I really love how to ink profiles. I just like the rhythm of it and the way the line weights work. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know if you guys could tell, but this is how I have fun. It's my job, but doggone it if it's not a good time. And yes, I said doggone it. You heard me right. I didn't stutter. Doggone it. So then she's got some hair coming in here. And then it wraps around here. So I'm not going to get too hung up on line weights and stuff in this back part of her hair because there's going to be a lot of blacks in there. So really all I'm going to focus to get it right at this point is the front part of her because it's white. She's got that kind of skunky looking white front on her. So where I'm inking right now is kind of where it'll fit in, right in here. And then the rest will be dark. Am I losing my light? I'll start moving it in a little bit. The sun is starting to go down. Okay, what's next? Continue that hatch. And bring this around. So it's starting to come together, getting a little bit more detail in. So it's starting to look less like just a coloring book outline. I hear tape. I hear tape downstairs. That means more black and white books are getting packed up. Yeah, my wife doesn't mess around, you guys. Does not mess around. Getting shit done. I'm just going to put some random strands of hair down so you guys can see, because the blue line is getting hard for you guys to see. So you're not really sure what it is that I'm even inking. And I apologize for that. But you can still kind of see where things are heading. Yeah, I'm going to give you a zoom in view so you guys can see where I'm going here. So maybe you can see the blue line a little bit more clearly. Let you know where I'm going with the ink. Let's do the eye here. Like I said, with the little details, you always want to be more conservative when you're throwing the line down. And then you can come back in and thicken it up. But your initial line will have the clarity that you need. So there's that. See what you guys are talking about. Is it this side that's a little dark? Or is it this side? Bring the light in. All right. We have awful redneck gaming. Are those bombs? Oh no. Inking is your stress puppy. Ah. Okay. Oh wait, where are we at? Okay. Ooh. We have some new people. Is good. Prager's fighting back. Yes. Very dangerous. I am very dangerous. Is that a skeleton in an office chair? That's funny, Ken. Ken. Totally insane. I should do this. Totally insane. But I would totally pet some puppies for any reason. Yes. Yeah, and I don't know. Can you be upset or angry while hanging out with puppies? I don't think you could. I would defy anyone. Well, thank you, man. Thank you. I'll tell you right now, I don't feel very secure. Every time I ink, every time I draw, every time I do something, it feels like I'm doing it for the first time. Yeah. Oh, a car. It's driving by. Yeah, I have the windows open because it's a nice day. Oh. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, sir. I have tried different leads. I should maybe go with softer than have used HB for quite a while. Those can be a little hard. So if you kind of bear down, the HBs could, I don't know, it might not remedy the problem, but it does for me. And like I said, the B, I do believe B is probably the softest you could get away with. I should try B lead. Yeah, I agree. Beautiful. Oh, it will be. It will be. Inking it is my stress puppy. I don't know, man. I've inked angry before. Oh my gosh. Okay, I inked I don't know if I just share this story. I was let go of Ultimate X-Men, inking Adam Kubert, and I was killing myself on that stuff. Adam Kubert, man, his stuff sometimes can be just like these breakdowns, these like little cartoony, sketchy breakdowns, and so he relies on inkers to finish them off. So he was doing that more and more, and so I was doing my best to polish them up, finish them off, so it would look professional, like a finished job. And so then he announced that he was going to use a different inker. He's going to let me go. He's going to cut me loose. And so they had fired me from the book, Ultimate X-Men. And so I was like, holy crap, and it just kind of upset me. And the first thing, you think of sometimes, I had 3 pages I was sitting on. So the first thing you think is like, oh, right. Oh, yeah. The last lap's going to be mine because I'm not going to turn these pages in. And in those days, they weren't blue lines. Those were pencils on the board, meaning, that Kubert would have had to either redo the whole page or somebody would have to ink that on a light box. Either way, it's a pain in the ass. And so, it's like, haha, the last laugh will be mine. But then you realize that's not professional and you'll probably never work in the business again. But like I said, that is the first thing, at least I think of, especially when it was handled. It was handled pretty bad. It wasn't handled great. And so I had those 3 pages to ink. And I'll tell you, it was the angriest. Well, let me think. The angriest I've ever inked, I believe, because I had to ink them fast. There was no love because what was it in? What was I going to get out of this anymore? I was already fired, so I inked them really fast and really angry. And when I look back at them, I was like, oh my gosh, these pages are awesome. They really look good. So maybe inking angry is the way to go for me. If you guys are familiar with the Ultimate X-Men, it was, I think, when they brought Sabretooth in, and it's like his showdown with the Wolverine character. So there's some kind of hibachi, and I believe that Sabretooth is going to brand Wolverine or something. I can't remember what it was, but I remember there was like some kind of cooker, like a hibachi or something like that. And I remember he kicks it over and there's like all this coal and everything that goes flying around. And I just remember just inking that. I was so angry. And then I remember looking back and like, oh my gosh, this looks really good. Maybe if I was angry earlier on, I wouldn't have got fired. I don't know. But yeah, Fast and Furious inking. Oh, wait, that's not the one. It just moved. Fast and Furious inking. Yeah, sounds like a Judas Priest song. I've been listening to some Judas Priest lately, and there's a lot of live recordings of their stuff. It sounds so much better than the studio versions. Yeah, that's a pretty tight band. Angry inking, yes. I wish I could tell you guys not to ink when you're angry, but after I told that story, I realized that maybe that's the way to go. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry, but you would like my inks. Oh my gosh, I was so upset. I loved that book. And then the moral of the story is never say never and never give up, because I think he was fired from the book or let the book go, Adam Kubert, and then Dave Finch came on, and Dave Finch asked for me to ink the book. So I did come back onto the book, and Dave and I had a pretty good run on Ultimate X-Men. Little known story that Dave Finch and I were asked to, I'm going to add some ink to this. It's drying up. We were asked to do Batman after Jim Lee, his Hush run. So we were asked by DC to come on and follow up their run, Scott Williams and Jim Lee. So I was actually the guy that told Dave that we should stay on X-Men. And I still stand by it because X-Men was a really good selling book. And following Jim Lee on a series is probably not the best thing to do. And Dave eventually got a chance to do a run on Batman anyway, so it all worked out. So, okay, did you see how hard it was for me to ink that line before, and how after I put some ink in the well, how I got that flow? So that's kind of what I was telling you guys. When you get into a bind, a flow problem with your ink, just add ink to your well and you'll get that flow back. Look at this. It's like a brand new nib. Yeah. I like I inked Andy Kubert too. I like Andy's work a lot. And Andy's a pretty cool dude. Yeah, I'm glad. I think it was Andy that stepped up for me when I went back to Marvel after Image, because Marvel, they weren't real happy with me coming back after leaving, as you could well imagine. So I got the pleasure of inking every crappy Marvel book that they had at that time. I used to say, I think it was probably 6 months or so, that I had to prove myself that I was just the kiss of death. I was the pariah on all those books. Like, they would give me a book and then it would get canceled. So I think single-handedly I killed all the 2099 line of books. And then it was Andy that asked for me to come on to X-Men and work with him. And, you know, when somebody like that asks, Marvel listens. And so I was basically pulled back from the abyss and given a worthwhile title to work on. And ironically, it was a book that I had left, I think, on issue 13. I believe I penciled and inked issue 12 and 13. So I came back on like issue 30 or something like that of the same run. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I stayed on it for a couple of years after that because I worked with Andy. And then I think Pacheco came in. Oh, look at that. I just smudged. See, I got carried away in talking right there on her hair. So I'm going to go to the chat and let some stuff dry because I got a little crazy. Oh, ho, ho, we got my buddy, breaking the line, inking angry. Yes, the priest, Did anybody go, Rob Halford, he's gay? Like, I knew he was gay from the get-go. Like, there were people that felt betrayed. Okay. I did almost beat up Lou. Yeah, he had it coming. Oh, we have Caution Angry Gamer. So this all fits. RT Bear almost beat up Lou Ferrigno, but Art is class, so he let Lou go. It would have been easy for Art since he's 9 feet tall. Oh, I tower over Lou Ferrigno. Are you kidding? I could have broke him like a girly man. Oh, did Dustin follow up? Man, that would be a hard gig to follow up, boy. Yeah. Oh, I always forget to do this. Climb on board the Chrono Inc. time ship. Chrono Mechanics, they do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. Here's the link, people. Here it is. Click on it. This book will change your life. It is the greatest comic book of all time. Get it? All time. It's about time travel. Time traveling repairman. Art is a serial killer of comics. Yeah, I killed the 2099 line. That's for damn sure. There was Pasquale Ferry, who was one of the pencilers on that book, on one of the 2099 books. And it was, if it wasn't for inking him, I think it would have been kind of a bad job. But he is so good, and I'm glad that I had a brief moment in time to ink him, because I don't think he did a lot of Marvel work. I did the 2099 book, and then I was sharing studio space and kind of mentoring Jaime Mendoza. And I was offered Heroes for Hire with Pasquale as the penciler. And so I couldn't do it because I think I was doing X Factor and X-Men at the same time. And so I recommended Jaime. And so Jaime stepped in and did a beautiful job over Pasquale. And I still got to see those pages, every day come in. And it was so awesome to see those pages. They were nicotine saturated. Those guys are Spanish, because there's Salvador LaRocca, Pasquale Ferry, and Carlos Pacheco. And those guys must have just been chain smoking while they were working, because every time you'd open the FedEx box, you'd just be hit with this wave of tobacco smell. Yeah, but Pasquale's so good. I think we did a Daredevil issue together as well. It was the only Daredevil book I ever did. I think I did some cover work on Daredevil with Dave Finch penciling. But that's all I've ever done on Daredevil. And that was one of my favorite books as a kid. I love that book. Okay, RT Bear. Let me post this before I read it. RT Bear, what is Greg Capullo like to work with? He's one of my faves. I'll tell you right now, for probably about 3 or 4 years, he was my best friend and mentor. He helped me out so much with penciling and how to draw, and I would kind of mentor him on inking. So we used to go back and forth with fax machines and kind of work over each other's artwork and give each other tips. And so it was a great time. And also he's a metalhead, and I'm somewhat of a metalhead, and I'd say like more hard rock, and but he likes Black Label Society and stuff like that. And actually, you know what? He likes Dream Theater, like prog rock and stuff too. So yeah, he's all over the place. And I think he would probably cop to like some of like the Scorpions or UFO, because I like that melodic hard rock too. And he's definitely a Judas Priest fan. So we would talk about music endlessly. And so sometimes we would crank the sound, and he would play the guitar and I'd play the drums with headphones, and we kind of jam together. So it was good times. It was really good times. We have a lot of commonality. And when he'd come over to the East Coast, or when I'd go over the East Coast, I'd hang with him. And we'd come over to the West Coast, I'd hang with him. as well. So he'd always bring his wife at the time. I don't think it's the same wife and that he has now, because I remember San Francisco and Anaheim. We hung out. So he's a good guy, man. He's a great guy, and I think we're still good friends. We just, like sometimes your circles, like you don't really kind of cross over anymore. So you go in a different direction. Not that you're not friends, but you just kind of don't hang out. There isn't the commonality that there was at that time. Fax machine, yeah. That was the big technology, man. And then they would make that noise, like make all those sounds. I guess they call it dial-up or whatever the heck it was. Heck yeah, he is so. He kills Black Label on guitar. He used to be my fave too. Yeah. Oh gosh, I just had his name. It's not Jakey Lee. I can't remember the guitar player's name. Yeah, he loves that guy. He used to play with Ozzy as well. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting that guy's name. Let me bring some more light in. Yeah, Zakk Wylde. Yeah, Zakk Wylde is he's pretty badass, and also he's a pretty good songwriter. Yeah, I like all that stuff too. It's funny when people go, "Oh, like those metal guys, those metal guitar players, like they're really stupid or whatever." And I think it's just like anything else. Like those guys are so focused on guitar playing that it's like being an NFL quarterback or in the NBA, and those guys pretty much all they do is live, eat, and breathe like basketball or football or whatever their sport is, and they're not exactly like well-rounded individuals. And I think a lot of those guitar players kind of get a bad rap because they're just so focused on playing that people, when they talk and stuff, they seem kind of simple or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's just a stereotype. Like the Spinal Tap making fun of that stuff. Please go to 11. But I've never seen like the case. It's kind of like what they can play is like Mozart level. A lot of those scales and a lot of that stuff that they're playing. It's really intricate work. And it is when you hear it orchestrated. Like sometimes like Metallica will play with an orchestra, or they'll, some of these bands will have an orchestra playing with them. And then you hear it come out and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is like classic music, like classical music. So in that sense, I think they're kind of genius. They shred, man. Yeah, most of my youth I hung out with people like that. So I played music. I actually, like, music's my first love. Even before art, I just kind of always drew, but I never really thought about it as a profession until I started getting paid for it. And then I was like, hey, I could make a living. I could pay my rent. Okay, so I'm going to start throwing some hair in, do some background elements, and then call it. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Yeah, I hate to sound like an old fogey, but some of the stuff that passes for music, I'm just like, it's auto-tuned and it's all sampled and ripped off. You know, like the level of musicianship just isn't really there. There's no real virtuosos. Like, you know, in metal, they were like guys that were considered kind of like modern day Mozart or, you know, Beethoven. You know, these guys were really, really good at what they did. Very, very technical, very proficient. I thought some of what let them down in a lot of cases was just the material itself. Like they just didn't really have the material. And then after a while, all music does this, but they fall into the tropes. And then when what was it, like metal ballads came out, it was just, I was done. You know, I was ready for grunge to come in and just destroy what was left of metal, because, you know, that stuff was getting pretty ridiculous. I mean, they were making money, they were getting airplay and stuff like that, but I didn't really care for it that much. It became so formulaic. Yeah, if they had some better material, better, I guess, songs to put in that, in those solos and that kind of thing, it could have been a good balance. One of my favorite guitar players is Michael Shankar, and that guy is, I mean, he shreds, but he can play like from the heart, and he can play very melodic. And I like that stuff too. I'm getting in a bind. All my ink is still wet. I'm running out of places to go. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Michael Shankar was the guitar player for a band called UFO, a British band called UFO. And personally, they were one of my favorites. I like them and the Scorpions. And they kind of share, I think, DNA. Because I think Michael played, when he was really young, played for the Scorpions. Because his brother is that Rudolph Shankar. And he's one of the key ingredients in the Scorpions. I'm losing people. Oh, Steve Vai. Oh, did you ever meet Dave back in the day? Dave Mustaine? Okay. Zakk Wylde. Megadeth is my all-time number one favorite, though. You know what? I sometimes think like if Dave Mustaine stayed in Metallica, because I think Dave has, I like his sensibility. He has like a tongue-in-cheek kind of attitude. So he's not, his music and the lyrics, they don't always seem like they're really that serious, so they're supposed to be taken seriously. And I think Metallica can be a little bit too intense, I think, at times. So I always wonder, like, what if they could have worked it out, and they could have stayed together longer? What kind of music? I think the same thing sometimes with David Grohl in Nirvana. If he could have stepped up, if he was allowed to step up in that band, and then could start writing songs, and becoming more of a pivotal songwriter in that band, that could have been cool. Oh, where are we? Did you ever meet Dave? I don't know if you mean Dave Mustaine, or David Grohl, or David Finch. I did meet David Finch. He's the only. Oh, I met David Grohl too. I met him at. We were checking into one of the Disney hotels here, the one that looks like a cabin. I don't know what the hell it's called. It looks like a lodge or something. And he was in the lobby, and he just kind of looks like a normal Joe. And he was with some girl, some younger woman, but it didn't look like his wife or girlfriend. It looked more like a nanny, and she had a stroller with a baby in it. And so he was kind of walking around slightly detached from them. And I was like, to my daughter, because she likes hard rock too, and I was like, I think that's David Grohl. And she's like, are you sure? And I go, I don't know. I go, look it up real quick, because he has like feathers, like 2 feather tattoos on his forearms. And so I said, look him up. And so she looked up and she found the feathers. She goes, that's him. So then I got my room card key, and it comes with like a little cardboard thing that the key fits into. And it was the perfect souvenir, because I had him sign that for me. And he was very, very cool. And I said, I don't want to draw attention to you or anything like that, but I'm a big fan. And I wanted to thank you for all the songs and the work that you've done, because I enjoy the hell out of it. And so he signed the thing. And so I still have that somewhere around here. I'm probably eventually going to get it framed. But it was very, very cool. So I met David Grohl at one of the Disney hotels. But I did, what's his name? The drummer for Metallica, Lars. I got backstage for Metallica Guns N' Roses tour. I think they were playing at the Rose Bowl or something like that. And a guy that worked this or owned this comic book shop, I think his name was Dave too. Wow, this weird, all these Daves. It was Dave of Dave's Action Comics, I think. And so he was a sidekick to, what is that guy that used to do the Headbangers Ball? What is his name? You guys can help. Grand Californian. Yeah, that's the hotel. Dillard Draws. Thank you. And what was his name? The Headbangers Ball. And then he had 2 nightclubs out here. I think one was called the Cat House and something else. I forget what it was. Oh God, what is his name? But anyway, I had done this promotion, this signing at Dave's Action Comics, and K-Rock, Ricky Rackman. Yes, Ricky Rackman. Thank you, Sticky. Thank you, Sticky Wicked. Yeah, Ricky Rackman. And so I did this thing that was it was with KROQ, which is a local radio station, and we were giving away those tickets, the Guns and Metallica tickets. And so we did this live televised thing at the signing. You guys, this was when comics were freaking cool, man. We were like rock stars. I did a live remote on a live radio station. I think we were signing cable number 1s. And so anyways, long story, that Dave of Dave Action Comics was a Ricky Rackman's sidekick on KROQ, some radio show that Ricky did here. And so then they said that the Metallica guys were big fans. And then I found out that one of the guys that was buying a lot of my Jim Lee art, I think it was Lars from Metallica. And so before I knew it, I was invited backstage to meet the guys, like Metallica guys, and to talk about X-Men comics. And I think at the time they were big Wolverine fans, and they liked that Archangel, the one with the metal wings that shot like the blades out of his wings. So they liked those, and they had a lot of those pages. So they bought some of those pages. So we didn't get the backstage area, Dave and I. We got like, there's like a holding backstage, and then there's the main backstage, I guess, for friends and family. And so those guys came out, and we got to talk to them at that point. And it was pretty cool. I never got to see the show. I just heard it from that backstage area. But it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So I sold a lot of very expensive pages to those guys, which is also cool. I wish I had some of those pages because I know they're worth a lot more money now. Dave of Dave's Action Comics. Yeah. So those were the fun days when you got to do a lot of extra fun perks and go on adventures. So if anybody knows, I don't know Dave's last name, but if anybody knows Dave of Dave's Action Comics, let me know. It'd be fun to reconnect with him. He was a fun guy, man. He was really into comics, and he was really into original art. Like, he really was a supporter of original comic book art. And he had he would buy original artwork, and then he would decorate the store with original comic art. And, so it was always a pleasure to go in, because you get to see some of your favorite, comic book pages there on the walls. So it was the day also where comic book shops were going a little bit above and beyond, because the money was pretty good. So they would, kind of have some extras, some bells and whistles at the shop to kind of entertain while you were, browsing around, picking out your, favorite comic books. So he was definitely a businessman, and I think the comics industry needs more businessmen to run these shops. I've done a couple book signings in my time with people that are more fan than they are business, and you can kind of see how they were going to have problems down the line. The shame is, though, a lot of the more business-oriented guys, when the market started, they say correcting itself, but kind of going back, they got out and they put their money in other things because they were business people. So, there's that catch-22 as well. So a lot of the people that were able to sustain and stay in business were the more humble comic book stores. We have, or had, Fat Collectible. I don't know if they're still out here, but they were one of the last kind of big kind of bells and whistles store. They had a lot of, like statues and just cool stuff to look at. The shop was kind of a step above some of the other comic shops, and they were a little more business oriented. So they'd have a lot more signings, a lot more kind of celebrities and stuff come to the shop, a lot more events, things like that. Things that make it interesting. And it's, because the thing is, I never understood this about comic book shops anyway. I would have some kind of event every month. Like, it's not that hard to find local talent that would come to your shop. Like, they do this free comic book day thing, and for a lot of shops they go all out. But you don't have to wait for one day in the year to do these cool. I'm gonna have to let this dry a little bit. To make these cool grand gestures, like you can do really cool stuff with just local talent. Have them come in and do sketches. A lot of them are either promoting their indie books or they're mainstream guys too. And if it's just a couple hours and you treat a mainstream artist to lunch and you treat them really, really well, for a couple hours, they'll come down and they'll draw, they'll entertain, they'll help you move product. I think some of the better shops that I've worked or I've done signings with, they also know what your back history is. So when you're in the shop, they have your back history books out there so people can buy them. Because sometimes, like, I've seen some of these comic shops where they'll have you come to the shop and then they don't even have any of your books on hand. Like, what is this? Like, the reason I'm here is to sign books for you and to entertain your customers. And if you don't have these books, then what am I here for? And you're not making any money. So it's a failed mission on every level. And I never understood that. You're just, at that point, you're wasting my time and you're wasting your own time. And then you're just kind of abusing your fan base, your customers. Because they're just kind of awkwardly looking at this guy like, am I supposed to talk to him? But if you actually interact with them, you go, here's a book he's drawn. And then they can see the book, because a lot of people don't know a comic book artist by their name or just by their face. But if you start showing them their books, then people can relate to that and they'll understand. It just seems like really basic stuff, but a lot of comic shops don't get it. Yeah, it's a pretty horrible cover. Yeah, I agree. That's ultimately what I wanted to do as a kid, man. I wanted to draw and paint album covers. That was what I wanted to do more than anything. And on some level, I'm glad it didn't happen, because those guys don't get a lot of work, and the work dried up pretty fast after that. What was Molly Hatchet had Frank Frazetta cover? They had a Frank Frazetta painting as one of their covers. Pretty awesome. It was that guy with the axe. I forget the painting's name. It was pretty cool. All right, I'm going to structure up this tree, and then I'm going to do the most important part of this drawing. And if you guys have hung out with me enough, you know what that is. The most important aspect of a drawing. Let me block out this tree. this tree is going to be just silhouetted, so I don't really have to worry about the line weight. I just have to give it a cool, funky, structured outline. So like I said, I don't usually do backgrounds on busts, but I'm stepping up my commissions to get some content for my art book, which will probably be coming out in February, March of next year. So start saving now, because I have the beginning of 2020. I have a couple campaigns that I'm going to launch pretty early on. And I'm hoping between those two campaigns and whatever we do on Chrono, that it will buy me time to start inventorying a lot of black and white pages, because I'm going to get as much work done on black and white before I even launch. Because I think it's always been the way I've run things. Like when I had Kickstarter campaigns, I always made sure I had the majority of the books done before I even did the campaign. But for some reason, when I saw, a lot of the comics gators, they were kind of funding first and getting money to actually invest the time into the work, and they were becoming very successful at it. I thought this is the way to go, because I can walk away from my day job at DC and devote time just on the book itself. And it makes a lot of sense, but it still has its drawbacks. But for a striving artist that wants to be more independent, it seemed like a really cool business model, and it still does. So I'm not saying that black and white's going to be completely done before we launch, but it'll be more under control, kind of like Chrono is now. Yeah, I would not be surprised if we actually ship Chrono out early, because everybody working on this book, you guys, is completely dedicated to getting it done good and on time. So I guess this is good enough for now. So I teased the most important part of the drawing. Let me show you the drawing first. It is kind of getting darker in here. I'll move this lamp up and over. And you know what? Hold on. Let me do this right. I'm going to open up the shade here. See if that helps. It's not a perfect way to do this, but I think that's better. Yeah. So here's what I have so far. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. I'll ink the most important part of the drawing, and then I'll let you guys go. So there's Rogue from the Savage Land. So after this, I am going to probably take a pencil to it, do some rendering, put some shadows in, and then finish her up. I can't wait to ink the tree, because I'm going to use a brush on it. I have some hatch ideas. There's also some wisps of grass throughout here. There's a little bit more to the background as well. Let me go back, see what you guys are talking about. Death Dealer, that's it. That was the Frazetta cover. What? No way. Really? I don't know if I should be grossed out by that cover too. Like whenever I look at it, I'm like, what is that? What is that goop on the cover? That sounds more like something Kirk would have been into. Oh, Kirk Hammond. Yeah, I don't know. They were all there, and I don't remember who. It was kind of weird because whoever I was talking, I mostly talked to Lars, and maybe because I'm a drummer as well, but they seemed like they were into just the art. Like they didn't really read the books. Like they didn't really seem like they knew the books. But yeah, Kirk has like all that horror stuff, right? He collects all those that horror memorabilia and all that. He has a pretty good collection. So I don't even remember talking to him though. So it could be. There's a lot of stuff going on, so I don't really know. Should have hired Artie. What's that? Fufkin? Who is Artie Fufkin? Is that a real person? I'm gonna have to look him up after. Let me write this down. I'm gonna have to look him up after the chat. F-U. He's got a cool name, Fufkin. K-I-N. Artie. You can always trust somebody named Artie. You can't trust anyone named Art, though. Arthur is reliable, but Art's, no, you never, ever want to trust those guys. They're backstabbers. Only go from kill 'em to justice for all. Can't stand the later stuff. Yeah, it is quite a departure, but the early stuff had this kind of manic energy, like just this unpredictability to it. And I like it for those reasons. But later on, those guys kind of learned how to write a pretty coherent song. So I like him for those reasons as well. But all that stuff, the early stuff, when it was manic, it was all good. The later stuff, it did get some of that was, I don't know, it wasn't that good. I can't remember the album. What was the one? My lifestyle determines my death style. What the hell? That was weird. Her hair looks great. Thank you. Wait till the blacks go in. Till I get all the shadowing. Wait. What is this? Sheldon, I was just old enough for it to build a bridge for me to go back and get and justice and finally master without load. I wouldn't have given them a chance. Yeah, I mean, Load's a good album. I didn't want to say it. I knew what it was. I just didn't want to say it. That's awesome. Yeah, I think he like in one of those like cribs or something like that. Didn't he show off his house and he's got all kinds of like statues and life size I guess I don't know what those would be, sculptures or whatever of that's what I thought. I still didn't want to say it, but it's funnier when you guys type it in. So technically, we still haven't said anything. Yeah, in the chat, we have some LOLs. Art does some great feminine faces. Thank you, Awful Redneck Gaming. No, don't apologize. It's hilarious. Yeah, I don't have sensibilities like that. I don't get offended that easily. But I already knew. I just wanted to see if anybody would say it. Okay, here's the most important part of your artwork, you guys. I hope you're paying attention. It's the signature. And just remember who taught you this. It's all in the signature. Some people go, well, no, it's how well you draw faces. Oh, it's how well you draw dynamic poses. It's how well you can construct a story. No, it's none of those things. It's all in the signature. Remember, you guys, if I've taught you nothing, take away this. Kind of readjusting the signature. The lettering is a little too far apart. The only thing about the signature, you guys, I have to draw a guideline. I have to do a penciled line across because this thing can get kind of out of control. You can start getting all like bouncy. So I need some structure to riff off of. I have done some winging it at conventions before, and I can do it, but it takes a lot of concentration, and I don't like to concentrate. I'm just going to throw some wisps of the grass here. I'm going to brush it all in, but just to give you an idea, kind of compositionally, what this whole piece is going to look like, just so you have an idea. So brush is way better suited. I do know that this tree is going to be pretty much silhouetted with some textures, and then I'm going to silhouette the grass here, and then this will be open, and then some of the silhouette of the tree will continue over into here and kind of fade out. And this rock will probably have some blacks in it. I hinted, you can see kind of the line. That's my hard lead. Let's go with the softer one so you can see it. It'll go in here. So this will be kind of black, and then this will be black, and then this will fade off. And then actually, I got to figure out where the rest of this tree is. So the rest of the tree is there, and then this will all be black all throughout the tree. And then, of course, her hair. Will be dark. Up to this section here. So it balances out pretty good. And then there's going to be other blacks throughout that'll help bring it all together. So thank you guys for letting me entertain you guys with some drawings. And that's probably way too bright. Bright light, making things with light out of sight. Making road with bright light. Or light bright, I should say. Bright light. All right, so this is it. There she is. I'm going to go down, get something to eat, check all my emails, catch up on my social media, and then I'll be back at the drawing board. So what? Oh, it blew away. Oh. I'll leave you guys with this in case you're coming in late. I just got these back from the printer. Pick a card, any card. Here we go. These are Chrono Mechanic postcards. And if you ordered a black and white book, we're going to throw this in there. So it thanks you guys and also reminds you there is a live Chrono Mechanics Indiegogo campaign going on right now, right as we speak. And let me throw my glasses on real quick so I can read the chat. And I think I have, let me double check. I've done this before where I put up the wrong link. I actually gave a link to the show. So here is a link to the Chrono Mechanics Indiegogo page. I think it's in the description as well. So I think we're about the halfway point, but don't let that slow you down. We need all the support we can get right now. This little book is it needs some help. It needs some help right now. This is a great book, you guys, and I do understand it's a little bit of a hard sell, just in the sense that it's a cartoon book, and that the concept is pretty damn unique, and the style is different than most of the mainstream books, and definitely departure from what I do. So I know you won't be disappointed, man. Take the plunge. Go in, get a book. I guarantee you'll have a good time. I can't see anybody reading this and not having a smile on their face through it. It's so funny, and there's some pretty raunchy rock humor in there too, since there's kind of a theme here going on with some rock. So Doug is the 70s. He's a heavy rocker. I wouldn't say he's heavy metal, because he's more like Steven Tyler meets Ted Nugent. So he's got the voice of Tyler, but the guitar playing skill of the Nuge. So he's definitely a product of his time. So we get to see what's going to happen with him when he gets recruited and brought into Team 9.2 of Sector 7, their repair team. So it'll be interesting. We'll see how he fits in. I don't know. Is he going to make the team? Is he not going to make the team? You're going to have to read the book and find out. So thank you guys so much. He's like the lead guitar player for Mountain. Yeah. I hope to get my hands on it. You will, Sonic. We have a little bit of time left, but like I said, we got to get in real quick. Great cover. I think Sketch is talking about the Chrono Mechanics cover, so thank you very much for that. Oh, here we go. Half past the freckle. Yeah. No, it's time to back Chrono Mechanics. Hells yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. So we got Justin. Dang, that looks good. Yeah, these are going to be, we're going to put these in the black and white books as a friendly little reminder and give you a little bit of a collectible for the Chrono Mechanics. So they're getting put in all the black and white books right now. And I can hear tape ripping downstairs. So my wife is packing up black and white orders as we speak. So Art has the biggest hands in the world. Yes. Actually, I have. There's two. Yes. So very good. Thanks so much, you guys. And I am going to bid you adieu. So enjoy, and please do go over and back Chrono Mechanics if you have not yet. And thanks to everybody for the support on the Chrono campaign and for backing it. I really, really do appreciate it. And when I say it's the greatest book of all time, that's not hyperbole, man. That is fact. That is fact. Wait. Art, I have an important question. Uh-oh. I can't leave without answering this. I'll say, okay, so what is it? Arthur Brown, the uncanny Kodiak. He's a bear. He's an art bear of sorts. Wait, what is the question? Did you go away? Did the stream die? What's happening, man? Talk to me. Wait a minute. Is the question what happens when H.G. Wells meets Looney Tunes? Is that the question, perhaps? Or is it this question? How do the Ninja Turtles pay for all that pizza? If they live in the sewer, and their dad didn't work. I don't know. Did they pay for the pizza? Or was it stolen pizza? Oh my gosh, pizza sounds good. I'm getting hungry. Pizza sounds so good. My only vices in life, you guys, are hamburgers, pizza, and I think that's it. I don't really have much of a sweet tooth, although my wife would argue with me on that point. Sketch is back. I hear you. Later, buddies. Hail Art and the chat. Yes, Hail Art and the chat. Wait. That's not what I was clicking on. There's that. And then pizza. Foot Clan's money. Okay. I'm never going to get out of here. You guys are going to hold me hostage here in the chat. So yeah, please guys, go check out Chrono Mechanics. Back it if you can. It is a laugh riot. And thanks for hanging out with me. Hey, wait, we got Mullet Turtle. Hey, oh, Mullet Turtle. How are you, brother? So yes, you guys have a good, what is this, Tuesday? And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.